Welcome to the real world. My name is Cameron, joined by Carson.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are excited to talk about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
My man.
Just got out of the theater from seeing this, the final DCEU film.
That's right. That's right.
So we had the DCEU started with Man of Steel,
Yes.
many people might know, and the rest of these movies, including
Yeah, we got it all here.
where is it? Aquaman,
There it is.
starring Jason Momoa.
Yes.
Really fun movie. That I had a blast with this. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most fun comic booky. It's like
very
very
big, it's
very
very colorful.
silly. Like
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
it's
And
just
that works for Aquaman.
yeah.
Because Aquaman, he's a Super Friends character. He's a very silly,
He's the
very
most
funny.
made fun of character.
Definitely. At
Which
least
is
he was before
Jason
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, Zack Snyder's casting was inspired.
Right.
Because
very
Momoa
interesting.
brings a great energy to the character. He's really cool. He's this big guy with a big
Right.
personality.
Yeah, the big kind of muscly motorcycle man.
He's a tough guy.
Right.
But
Which is
very
interesting
silly too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
got the comedy chops as well as the kind of toughness.
Right.
So it works well together.
Yeah.
So anyways, had not, I wouldn't say high expectations going into the sequel, but it was one that I was definitely looking forward to.
Well, I love the trailer for Aquaman.
The trailer's tons of fun.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
The title's great.
The sequel. It's pretty good. A little generic, but it's pretty good.
I know, it's perfect. That fits the tone.
Sure.
The first one I like, it's very globe-trotting adventure, kind of like
well, I thought the sequel was even more diverse in terms of locations and set pieces. It was really good.
It was. But it very much felt like a sequel. It felt like this is a continuation of that film.
Right.
They call back to it. They flash back to it.
Right.
All that
a little
stuff.
Too much. Yeah.
Maybe a little too much. That was one criticism I had too. Was that it felt a little bit too much like. Remember that first movie?
Exactly.
When they didn't really need to do that as much.
Yeah.
I felt like that movie made $1 billion. I mean, everyone saw it. So I don't see why they felt like they need to remind us of all this stuff.
Right. I mean, I guess it's been a while since it's been released.
Yeah.
Those always feel like studio notes to me when we get scenes like that either call back to, sometimes it's in the same movie. It's calling back to a scene that you just saw in the same movie.
Exactly. We are going to go no spoilers on this one. We're going to go into spoilers in a minute, but we'll keep it non-spoilers for now. So just overall thoughts. It's a solid movie. It's fun.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable. Action-packed, all the stuff I expected that I enjoyed in the first movie is here.
Yeah. What is its runtime? Do you know?
It's just over 2 hours, 2 hours 4 minutes.
Really?
So it's not as long as the first one's like 2:23.
Yeah.
So it's almost 2.5 hours.
It did feel a little bit more brisk. But it's
but
2 hours is
it still to me had pacing issues.
Yeah,
I think it to me felt like it could have been even tighter than it was. Whereas the first one, I didn't really feel the length on that one.
Sure.
For me, I feel like it moves pretty solid at a solid pace.
Okay.
So some pacing issues, some jokes didn't land. That's always going to happen, I feel like, with most of these movies. But overall, performances were pretty good. I felt like some of the effects, there's a lot of effects in both these movies, and I feel like they didn't spend as much time and effort on the effects in this one. I feel like it did suffer a little bit from a lot of CGI that wasn't all consistent.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, I know what you mean. But I think that works as a positive and negative to the movie because it makes the practical effects stand out as really awesome.
True.
There's a great sequence when Aquaman and Orm are running around. It's not spoilers. It's just a great shot. Tracking shot similar to the one in the first movie. It's the buildings, they go through the buildings, and it's kind of a long one.
Right.
And it kind of harkened back to that.
Yes,
it was a long one that you felt a lot of their technical ability shine through. It was a really good shot.
Like you mentioned, the sets are great. Production design is great. I like a lot of we got a lot more creatures here, which is a lot of fun. A lot more
fantasy stuff too.
Fantasy elements. The vehicles were really cool and unique.
Yeah, they were.
You know. So yeah, overall I enjoyed the look of it for the most part. The script is, again, it's not crazy great. It's pretty generic.
There are definitely things I would have done differently.
Yeah. But overall it's an enjoyable film, enjoyable story, solid. Has some good themes in there about brotherhood.
Yeah. Definitely hammers home that theme,
which was great.
Yeah.
And so it's family centric, in that way. But overall, I had a good time. I'd probably give it about 3.5 stars, I think is where I'm at on this.
Okay.
Maybe on rewatch it'll go higher, but the first, because the first one I'm at like 4.5. I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of that
Yeah.
movie.
Well,
This one I'm not at quite as
yeah,
high
yeah.
on.
I didn't enjoy Aquaman, the original Aquaman, as much as you did.
Yeah.
I think I honestly, in my memory, at least
Hmm.
at this point, had more fun watching Lost Kingdom.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
again, we kind of get more into these characters
The
and seeing them
mythology.
interact differently. A
Oh
lot
yeah.
more
Yeah.
mythology. Yeah,
Mhm.
different characters are paired together than you would
Right.
expect.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
It's kind
I
of a
enjoyed it.
buddy. It's kind of a
I
buddy
think it's
comedy.
a yeah, I think it's a 3.5, 4.
Okay.
I'm right there with
Okay.
you.
Cool. Those are our non-spoiler thoughts on Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Now we're going to jump into spoilers. So if you've seen the movie, keep watching. We're going to spoil the whole thing. The plot and everything is going to come out here, just as we talk more about what we liked and didn't like. So um, we get more Orm here. I think
More
that's a
Orm.
big plus because Patrick Wilson is a really good actor.
Yes.
And I like a lot of the choices he made here, a lot of the story beats that they follow with him here.
Totally.
It works really well.
Yeah, his arc comes full circle in this
It
movie.
does. It does.
Yeah.
It's the redemption arc of Orm.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
I love all of the quite literal fish out of water stuff
Yes.
with Orm.
Yes.
Him not knowing how to run properly.
Not knowing what food is.
Not knowing what food is, eating a lot of roaches. There's like 3 roach eating scenes in this movie, which is pretty great.
Great. Yes, after the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all of that worked exceedingly well. Momoa brings his typical energy, like we said before.
Well, it's not just Momoa energy. It's basically Jason Momoa.
He's even more playing himself.
Totally.
There's a shot of him on a motorcycle, and I'm like, I think that was just him like playing around on set.
It literally
doesn't seem like
it looks like he brought his motorcycle to the set and started riding it around, right. And Tamir Morrison just like,
what's going on? I guess I'll just
smiling,
laugh at the silliness.
He got to do his haka as well.
He did, which was fun. He kind of did it a little bit at the end of the first one, but here he really gets to dive into it.
Totally.
Tamir Morrison's great as always. Nicole Kidman's not in it as much, but
she's present.
Pretty good.
She's present.
Pretty good throughout.
She has a little action sequence.
That's
fine.
Yeah, and it's a couple more dialogue scenes to explain some plot stuff. Dolph Lundgren has a bigger role, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
But I liked that a lot. I also liked John Rhys Davies as the Brine King.
Yes, the Brine King.
The giant crab man.
So cool.
He was wonderful to see him more.
His giant crab claws.
The
running joke.
Missing a crab claw joke.
His crab claw cut off in the last movie.
It worked so well.
It's great. And it's actually funny to me, kind of in a meta way, because in the comics, Aquaman famously loses his hand.
Yes, exactly.
Hook hand.
Yeah, we were waiting for that moment.
So
they
totally
set it up a couple times.
They set it up multiple times.
Never happened.
I think it's intentional that they set it up.
James Wan knows.
I think he knows.
He knew fans were waiting for it. He was like, I'm not going to give it to you guys.
He gives Orm an axe in one scene. Literally, give him an axe.
Right.
And you have basically the scene from the comics.
You've got the baby. You've got the baby.
Exactly.
Not in a red blanket, but like in the animated series. But
in the animated series, Justice League, and in the comics, it's basically Aquaman's like pinned up against a rock.
Yes.
And has to save his baby.
Yeah.
But his arm's caught, so he has to cut his own arm off to get the baby out. Yeah.
Right.
It's a whole big,
it's a great
big
scene.
90s story.
The animated Justice League series from the early 2000s does that flawlessly. I highly recommend watching that episode. It's called The Enemy Below. It's a 2-parter from season 1. Excellent episode.
Yeah, very good.
Definitely worth watching. One of my favorite Aquaman.
And I was hoping they were going to lean into that story-wise to kind of make if Jason Momoa was to return as Aquaman at some point, him coming back with this hook hand and being kind of this grizzled, gruff sailor man, could have been kind of cool. But they didn't go that direction. They didn't go that direction. They played it safe.
They did. They definitely played it safe. They played it safe throughout this film, which that's fine. That's fine. I feel like this is kind of the last of these types of comic book movies. I really feel like this whole year we've gotten mostly films that played it pretty safe. Yeah.
The era of passable superhero movies, I think, is coming behind.
It's over. Yeah.
I think Madam Web will be the nail in the coffin for passable superhero movies.
I agree. So this is tracking pretty low. It's got a lower Rotten Tomatoes score than the first one.
Right.
Box office is tracking pretty low. Our theater was pretty crowded, not totally crowded.
It wasn't
though.
full.
wasn't full, but there were definitely people in the
Yeah.
audience watching. So a couple
We'll
kids.
see how it does
couple
opening
kids were
weekend.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see what it does. But
yeah.
this is it for the DCEU. It's over. Momoa is moving on, hopefully to Lobo. That
We'll
would be
see.
awesome.
Which is interesting that someone who plays Aquaman, which is traditionally a very, like on your shirt, very straight-laced,
exactly.
blonde hair.
He looks like Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, Patrick Wilson.
That was the whole
which is kind of
inverted.
My thought
casting.
was that you'd end the movie with Patrick Wilson taking on either the throne of Atlantis or the mantle of Aquaman.
Yeah, could have been cool.
But instead, we got that great speech with Jason Momoa, where he ends by dropping the mic quite literally, and giving his howl as he always does.
Which we hear like 5 times in the movie, just randomly.
Yes, exactly.
So
this movie though, before we wrap our thoughts up completely, has a really strong opening, and that's what really got me hooked.
It has a fun opening. It's a montage with a voiceover, which kind of catches you up.
Sure.
But it does it in a entertaining way.
Very entertaining way.
Yeah.
It starts with this interesting this like pirate are taking on this freight ship.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a Namor Submariner thing from Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
It's very similar to that. And then Aquaman shows up, and it's this punk rock music, and he's taking on 20 guys, and then it smash cuts to him smashing action figures together, talking to his kid,
his son,
which is great. I love all the baby stuff.
I know. It was great. It was great. It was silly and
talking to
fun.
fish stuff was brought back. Love the talking to fish stuff.
That was good. Topo. We can't fail to mention Topo.
Of course.
Topo's got a big role. The drumming octopus.
The squid.
Who everyone freaked out about for some reason. And drumming octopus. He has a major role here.
He does.
I mean, he's a sidekick throughout the whole film.
He is.
It was amazing.
Famously so. Because Aquaman has ocean creature sidekicks in the comics all the time.
They finally named Storm the seahorse, which was great. He gets a name recognition in this one, which is fun.
A lot of whales. More whales, I think, maybe even than The Way of Water had whales.
More whales than Way of Water.
There were a lot of whales.
More whales than Ahsoka. I mean, there were a lot of whales here. I mean, the whales have a moment. Whales are having a moment.
Whale
cinema.
Yes.
It's the whales' time.
Did
Free Willy did it in the 90s, and now it's back.
Yes. The humpback comeback.
Humpback comeback. 100%. The killer whales are killing it at the box office.
Yes. Killers of the Flower Whales.
That's Scorsese's next film.
Yes, it's got to be.
The sequel.
Whales are the key to blockbuster success, evidently.
One can only hope we get more whales in the future. So yeah, I think
that's the end.
That
wraps up my thoughts.
That was a whale of a tale.
Yeah,
and we had a blast watching it.
Oh, we should mention.
Oh yeah,
Black Manta.
Yeah, you're so right. You're so right.
I really like Black Manta as a character, and his portrayal in this movie is really cool.
Yahya Abdul-Mateen III.
Mm-hmm. What a name.
What a name. What an actor. I mean, really, this guy, he needs to take over as Kang, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think he would be great in that role. He is really good in this. He has a difficult role to play because he's playing Black Manta coming off that first film, still seeking his revenge.
Right. Very revenge-oriented.
Now we've got this whole mythology of the Black Trident, which is possessing him. Yeah. And it's like the devil on his shoulder.
Playing two characters. In some moments, it's like he's fully the Black King, where it's like, he's evil and crazy.
It's very interesting. There's a progression that happens with him. That's interesting.
And I wish that progression was kind of more focused on where he would almost have moments of, I don't really want to do this. Like, this isn't really even my mission anymore. Yeah. But we didn't really get that. Instead we got a lot of Dr. Scientist Man.
Yeah, that was a failure of the film for me.
A lot.
It was so much of Randall Park's Dr. Shin that it kind of went off the rails a little bit.
I think so,
a couple times with his character.
He became far too central.
He was he was almost the main character.
He was like a third lead. I agree. He was in the movie more than Mera was.
Way more than Mera.
Yeah.
Way more than Atlanta. Way more than anyone other than Aquaman and Orm.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
He was like a third lead in this movie, which was very strange.
Randall Park had that in his contract, or
what?
He
was set up in the original Aquaman movie as this guy who was going to team up with Black Manta and whatever, but he just took a really...
And he had an important role, but it was just so much screen time was devoted to him that it detracted from the film a bit for me.
Too,
so
kind of took away.
I think that maybe had something to do with the pacing issues. I felt.
Yeah, probably.
But so those are our thoughts on Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Yep.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're both on Letterboxd.
Yes.
All those links are in the description below. We'll be writing our reviews soon.
Definitely.
Posting those, adding it to our DCU rankings.
Yes.
That'll be interesting to find out where it falls for us. We've got Rebel Moon. We're literally about to queue it up and watch it right now.
This is it.
So our review of that will be out very soon as well. Can't wait. So yeah, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified of all our videos, and we'll see you next time right here on The Real World.